Where we at? All right. To be called to order. It's 8:58. My name is Pete Freeman. I'll be the acting chair today. To my right is Ms. Renata. To my left is Ms. Stapleton will be your panel. The staff at headquarters, please introduce yourself.
Francis Abbott.
Okay, with the people at Hunt, please introduce yourself.
Deputy Warden Stephanie Michelle.
Joe Buttress, Assistant Warden.
Okay, thank y'all for having us today. All right, Mr. Tyler, you're here today for a revocation hearing. Do you have your questionnaire?
Yes, sir, right, yes, sir.
Okay, and
Yes, sir.
do you realize that you're not eligible for appointed counsel?
Yes, sir.
Do you want to hire your own counsel or do you want to proceed today?
I want to proceed.
Okay, okay, Mr. Tyler, today we're here for your revocation hearing. Your case has been assigned. We have no one speaking in favor or against. You don't have anyone talking, right?
No, sir.
Okay.
I'm not, my wife, she said that she was gonna try to get in on the Zoom.
Mm-hmm. So we hadn't gotten her yet, so hopefully she's still trying.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Your case has been assigned to Ms. Stapleton. She's gonna read your violation, plead guilty, not guilty, guilty with a statement, not guilty with a statement. And then she will ask you her questions.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Ms. Stapleton.
Okay, so the rule violation that we're talking about today is Louisiana and Texas rule number 4. You pled guilty to assault that causes bodily injury and family violence. Conviction cause, it's got number 1846116 on 11/6/2024, County Criminal Court 6, Tarrant County, Texas, and you were sentenced to 23 days in jail. How do you
Yes.
think?
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
Okay, so you think guilty?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, with a statement. Yes, ma'am.
All right, go ahead and make your statement, sir.
The incident was between me and my wife. Me and my wife had a little misunderstanding. We had a little argument, and I did grab her face, and and I was telling the baby, like, calm down, that was it. It was no licks passed or nothing like that. My wife, she had spoken with someone, and she had told them that what had happened, and she have said that, like, she don't want anything. She didn't press no charges against me or anything like that. And she want me home, and I need to be at home and stay with you all to help my wife. She has no income. I was the breadwinner, and I need to be there.
You said she spoke to someone. Who was the someone?
Is it?
Oh, Jerry.
Jerry Brown.
Oh, I thought you mean that she spoke to someone at the time of the incident, because she spoke to the police at the time of the incident.
Yes, ma'am. Meaning that I think someone on the board or someone.
Stand right.
Yes, ma'am, and we ready to resolve this matter and get me home and stay if it's in God's will.
Hey, if we go back to what the revocation is about, is that your wife spoke to law enforcement, and they said that they saw the injuries on her face, and
Yes.
she said she did injure her by slapping and punching her, and so they saw that you were found guilty of it, and you pled guilty to it.
Yes, ma'am. I had grabbed her face, and like it was my fingernails, there was scratches on her face where I hadn't grabbed her face. But she said she did not tell them that I punched her or nothing like that.
Her eye was swollen.
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. No bruises or nothing like that. I didn't do that. And she, she said she told him that, and she have spoken with, Miss, Keisha Owens or something like that. She's spoken with, Miss, she said
Derek
she,
Brown.
Miss
Yeah,
Benny.
you spoke to someone here and said all of that stuff didn't happen.
Yes,
And then,
ma'am.
but I'm just going on about what the law enforcement officer says. I then contacted the victim again, where she advised they were arguing over the kids. The argument became heated as the suspect popped her in the face, causing visible bodily injury. The victim was unsure how her eye became swollen. However, she kept referring to her husband popping her. Due to the victim leaving her apartment on foot and going to get help from the police officer who was on scene for another call, placing her in fear that the suspect was still in the apartment with visible bodily injury, the suspect was arrested for domestic assault and you were put in handcuffs and you pled guilty.
Yes, ma'am. When she told, she said that the officer, she had told the officer that she spoke with, she said that officer told her, my wife said she told him that she didn't want anything to happen, she didn't want to press no charges or nothing against me. And she said the officer told her that they didn't want, she did not call the police, they called another officer out there for me. And she
Well,
said,
I know in the state of Louisiana, we
Yes, ma'am.
changed our law. The victim does no longer press the charges. The state presses the charges. It's just like somebody gets in a wreck. They don't have to press charges against the person that hits them and causes them bodily harm. The state presses the charge. And the same thing is true of domestic violence. It's very
Yes, ma'am.
possible. And this is another thing, already the victim advised, and it gives y'all's, as we attempted to check the apartment to make sure the victim was not inside, the front door opened. And let's see. I observed, further back, I observed a scratch mark in the middle of her face between her eyebrows, left eye swollen, some bruising on the right eye, and redness on the right side of the face. And the victim's injuries were documented on their form. And so I'm going to turn it over to my other panel members.
Yes, ma'am.
A couple questions on the next one. Okay, so you were bringing her money? Says something about $500?
I lived, yes, sir. I had just gave her 500 that day. I got out work and I gave her money that day. Yes, that was for our bill.
Okay, were you there on Interstate Compact? You've been transferred to Texas?
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir.
how long did you live there?
Since March, since March. Because I had to be, I couldn't stay there, but I got out in January of 24.
Right, you had to wait for the Interstate Compact.
January the 4th, we got married January the 8th, and she had already moved there. I couldn't be there because they had to do the investigation. So I got there, I got reported in March. So I stayed there from March until October. That's how long I was out.
Okay, and where were you working?
At Red Lobster in Irving, Texas.
All right. Do you think they held your job for you or not?
My wife told me, because they held my job, and they told me that when I get out to come see them, because it's been 6 months now. So they went on and hired someone. But she told me when I do get out, come see her.
Right, well, you'd have to do all the Interstate Compact again, because I'm sure they closed their interest in the case. Okay, I have no further questions.
So how long you been in jail?
Right now, 6 months. Yes, ma'am. Since October the 9th.
And was there a history of domestic violence between you and your wife?
No, ma'am, never.
The police had never been called before?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Was the argument over the children?
It was concerning about money wise.
Right.
You know,
Those, are those children that you share?
no, we have a daughter together, one daughter.
All right, and it's your plan to go back to Texas?
Yes, ma'am,
You understand what Mr. Freeman said, you gotta do the interstate again, or check on it at least. Be sure that's all.
yes, ma'am. My parole officer up there, her name was Miss Espinoza. She
Mhm.
was, looking, and, she was just assigned to me while I've been incarcerated. And, she was in my revocation, my preliminary hearing, and she spoke good of me, and and I told her, she was looking forward to me coming back. Like I said, am I gonna come back and you're gonna be my parole officer? She said, yes, if y'all send me, y'all, it's up to you all. So,
Okay. Last question, you have any place to stay here in Louisiana?
no, sir.
Okay, what, interstate compact takes 60 to 90 days.
Yes, sir. But you know what? I have a son. I have a friend who lives here live in Shreveport. If I could get in contact with him and ask him if I could stay with him, he probably might let me. So I could I could get out. And he probably would let me stay with him till my compact go through again.
All right. Are you ready to vote?
Yeah. Sir, based upon everything I've heard, you did violate your parole. So today I'm gonna vote bogey.
Ma'am,
Hold up, we vote.
oh,
My
I'm sorry.
vote would be, do not revoke, return you to supervision, but contingent upon an approved residence plan. So that depends on your, whether you can go live with a friend in Shreveport while you work on the ICOTS program.
Okay, so I need to contact him.
Get back to Texas, a special condition will be that, you have to pay the cost of extradition.
$1,262.50. That would be set up in a payment plan.
Yes, sir. Thank you all, okay?
But wait, we haven't finished yet. I gotta vote. There was definitely a dispute between you and your wife. The officers did say that your wife was notably intoxicated at the time. I'm gonna concur with Ms. Renatz. I'm gonna vote to do not revoke, but it's contingent on getting an approved residence plan.
Okay.
You gotta sit there and do interstate compact. We're gonna leave you in prison till it gets done. But if you can get your friend to take it, they'll go check it out and you might can go there.
Today?
No, not today.
Not
Oh, I'm sorry.
soon.
Okay, yes, sir. Okay.
Joe, Mr. Buttress knows what you need to do. Okay, so that's the vote today. It was one to revoke, two not to revoke. So the majority rules, and that's our verdict, not to revoke.
Thank you all. God bless y'all. Thank you.
And we need to sign out at Hunt Correctional. Thank y'all for having us today.
Yes, sir.
Okay, good morning. We're now at Raymond LaBoyd Correctional Facility. My name is Pete Freeman. I will be the acting chair today. To my right is Ms. Renatza. To my left is Ms. Stapleton. We're here today, with the staff at Evolve to introduce themselves, please.
Warden Nikki
Raymond
Shinbear.
LaBoyd.
It's okay. Warden Nikki Shinbear.
Deputy Warden Stephen Morlawn.
Raven Heath Classification.
Melissa Joshua Records.
Okay, thank y'all for having us today. We're here today for the hearing on THEDRICK HANEY. Mr. Haney, what is your name and DOC number?
THEDRICK HANEY, 391923.
Okay, that's you then. Okay, Mr. Haney, you are a third-class offender. You had a parole date of 2/7/22. You have a good time date of 6/24/59 and a full term date of 3/4/2070. You were sentenced to 72 years for armed robbery, attempted second-degree murder, and criminal armed robbery. I want to just state on your behalf, you'll have Kerry Myers from the Parole Project speaking. Irma Haney Shields, your mother, will be speaking. Tomika Armwood Lee, your sister, she'll be speaking. And Micah Sloan, your attorney from the Parole Project, will also be speaking. So we will get to those people at the correct time. First off, though, Mr. Haney, I need to tell the board why you are in jail and why do you think you're ready to get out today.
Okay. Thank you. First I'd like to apologize to the victim's family, my family, and society as a whole. I realize my actions, the harm my action caused, not just physically, but psychologically. I'm in here because on March 5th, 1998, a friend and I decided to rob a bank. Going into the bank, I made, I rationalized my actions. I told myself nobody was gonna get hurt. Me and my co-defendant, we went into the bank. I hopped across the counter. I was getting the money. He was in the line. He had a gun I had given him. The plan was not to shoot the gun. He shot the gun. I panicked. When he fired the gun, I hopped back across the counter, went over there to where he was standing over somebody, seen it was the shot. And after that, I panicked. We fled, we got in the car, and we drove off. 3 blocks later, we was apprehended. Since my incarceration, I got my GED in 2003. I followed that up by getting a graphic arts diploma from Louisiana Technical College in 2007. I followed that up with another diploma in culinary arts in 2014. I had a narrow view of what change was and what rehabilitation was. I thought education was synonymous with change. So I pursued education, and I realized I wasn't addressing the underlying problem that I had, which was my drug addiction. It took me a long time to admit that I had a drug problem. And then when I did admit it, by me not really understanding drug addiction, I thought I could treat it on my own. And I was wrong. In my last hearing, and I'd like to thank Judge Marabella. He asked me, do you have a drug problem? And I admitted, yes. And he asked me, well, why haven't you taken a drug problem? What you gonna do about it? And I said, discipline. And he told me, he gave me some advice that I took back with me, even though I was denied. He told me drug addiction is a disease and you can't treat it on your own. You need help. So that's what I did. I was transferred a week later after I got denied. I was transferred here, and I immediately signed up for the classes. Living in Balance, I took Living in Balance phase 1 and phase 2. And I learned something about myself. I learned what addiction is. You know, I learned that I couldn't fight it on my own. You know, even though I had admitted that I had a drug problem, it took me a while to accept that I was powerless against alcohol and drugs. And that was the first step. Admitting, you know, that I was powerless. And the second step was, you know, understanding that it took a higher power to help me with my addiction. Change really came to me when I had to do a moral inventory. And when I did a moral inventory, I realized that all the bad things I'd done, you know, and it teaches us in NAA is to admit to yourself, to God, and to another human being the exact natures of your wrongs. And I saw the exact nature of my wrong. Knowing it and seeing it was two different things. In my last role here, I seen it. I seen my mama break down crying. I seen my sister break down crying. And that affected me. You know, I had to realize that I had caused all that pain. You know, my younger sister was 5 years old when I left the street. She's now 32 years old with a 15-year-old daughter. She graduated from high school, got married, you know. All the things I was supposed to be there as a brother, I wasn't there for. And it was because of my selfishness and my addiction. My sister that's gonna speak later on, she was 17 years old. She graduated from high school, went to college, got married, had kids. All the things that I was supposed to be there for, I wasn't there. I wasn't there for. Understood through victim impact that for a long time, I thought since nobody was physically hurt or nobody was shot, that nobody was hurt. Victim impact showed me it showed me that you can hurt people in more than just physical ways. You can hurt them psychologically and you can hurt them mentally. Now I understand, I put myself in a situation. When that went on, they didn't know how it was going to turn out. They didn't know if they was going to ever see their families. And I understand that. You know, I understand the hurt that I caused. Since then, I've taken AA.
Right. Okay, let me ask you a few questions then. All right, first off, Warden, any comments from the institution?
Yes, sir. He's been with us since 2022. He's had a few write-ups in his record, but nothing since 2020. Like he said, he got his GED in 2003 at LSP, and he's done a lot of programming since he's been here. He's done Inside Out Dads, Nurturing Parenting, Victim Impact, Cage Your Age, phase 1 and 2 of Living in Balance, and he's currently enrolled in Moral Compass. He's a member of Strive, and he's a member of our Juvenile Awareness Program. And it does seem like he has a good support system on the outside if he is granted parole today.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. One last question for y'all, Warden. I see he's medium custody and he has foul work history. Is that while he's been there or not?
Yes, sir. He works in the kitchen right now, and he does have some comments from some supervisors that he does a good job in working in the kitchen for us.
He has comments that are good, you said?
Yes, sir.
That's all I want to know. Okay, thank you, ma'am. Mr. Haney, who fired the shot?
A co-defendant.
Okay, because the arrest report says you fired the shot. And I saw where your attorney also said he fired the shot. So I'm trying to get that straight in my head. So the arrest report has it wrong. You sure it was your?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I understand. The gun was mine. I had given him the gun. He did fire the gun. When we was arrested, we confessed to the federal agent. And when our confession, he admitted that he had the gun.
Okay.
And if I
All right.
if I can help clarify, I was able to review a transcript of a pretrial motions hearing in which both a Baker Police Department lieutenant testified and also an FBI detective. And they do explain that although initially they had identified him as the shooter, that in fact the arrest report was incorrect, and it was his co-defendant who had confessed to also being the person who shot the weapon.
Okay, we wanted to get that straight. Okay, you have a lot of opposition. The DA, the sheriff, the chief are opposed. You have adamant victim opposition, which we've explained. You expect that. I mean, you did definitely affect their lives. Your history was bad as far as your DBs, but you hadn't had one since 2020, and you've taken all these classes. What was all of the contraband, the number ones in 19 and 20?
The ones was cell phones.
Yeah.
Three of the ones with cell phone, and one was for prescription medication that wasn't mine.
Okay. You have, well, we're gonna let them speak too. Okay, let's hear from Mr. Kerry Myers.
Good morning. Kerry Myers here with Louisiana Parole Project to let the board know that THEDRICK HANEY has been accepted as a client in our program. We accepted Mr. Haney essentially based on, I think, what you have just seen in his initial dialogue. Mr. Haney just impressed us with his education. He's got certificates in graphic arts and culinary, his community service with juvenile awareness, his commitment to his sobriety, and his support system. He's been incarcerated now for 27 years. He's obviously going to be coming into a world that's different. And Parole Project, through the transitional program in phase 1, he'll get the necessary mentoring and case management that'll help him reestablish things like financial literacy, social norms. We'll make sure he's connected to his health care. He'll have an evaluation about substance abuse through our social workers. And I know that in speaking with Mr. Haney through this preparation, he'll follow up the recommendations based on that. We're prepared to offer him, again, the full complement of our services. He has once he would leave Parole Project, he'll be in the Zachary area living with his sister. He has an extremely strong support system, and Parole Project obviously will continue to provide case management at a minimum of 1 year. So we'd ask this board to consider. Mr. Haney, when he was denied last time, had two routes to take. He could have spiraled, which happens, or he could have taken that as he told you as incentive, and that's exactly what he did. He took those words from Mr. Marabella and he took them to heart, and he proceeded to do the things that he was asked to do. So we believe in Mr. Haney, and we ask this board to grant us parole today.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Myers. We'll also hear from Irma Haney Shields. Yes, ma'am. Just get up behind the podium, please, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Irma Haney Shields. Debbie's mother. My son, he did go down the wrong path, but the time we talk on the phone and we communicate with each other, he has shown me as a mother, how hurt I was. He showed me that he could make a change. He was taught the right way. The kids, young and hanging with other people, their friends influence them more than the parents can. As the parents, a lot of parents, we can begin to be here for our children. But when they got friends, it's going to say, oh, you can do this, you can do that. Sometimes it's outweighed what the parents say. But that has been lost for years on what he had done. And we talk, like I said, we talk. And he's shown me, that he will be a better. He is a better. He will function more if you will give him a chance to get out there and show what he can do. And I'm going to be on him. I'm going to stay on myself. Because I do never want to see, I don't want to see this pain on nobody. Because it hurts. Especially when you have done the best that you can with that child. I got three, it's my child here, and I got two other ones, and we all have support system. I have a sister in the military, she has an organization out there. We all get support, we got aunties out there, we are there for you. And I can say to TJ right now, I love you, your family love you, you will stay positive. I'm gonna stay on you.
Okay,
If I got to be here 24/7, I live in Tennessee, I will do that.
okay.
And I just thank you all for sharing this opportunity with me because I have real bad health issues. I just want to see my child. And starting.
Okay.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, next, Tamika. Good morning.
I'm born Lee, his older sister. Yeah. TJ has really been like my motivator. In spite of his situation, he's always been positive, you know, through it all. Like I got 3 boys. My oldest 15, didn't know the end, but when we visit him, TJ always tells me like, dude, what you doing? You know, you got watch the company you keep. You know, I always make good decisions. You know, you always have to be a leader, not a follower. You know, so he's always just speaking positive. You know, even with me, I found out 8 years that I had just support fit. My heart was feeling, you know, I didn't really want to tell him, but I know he was going word he feels feel right. And he kept saying, sis, we this together, you know, don't, you know, I'm saying, well, you need a job. I said the word. And he was like, you know, you got this, you know. So he's just always been very positive despite his situation. You know, if he's granted parole, he's gonna live with me. You know, I want him to live with me because he knows out of all the siblings, I'm a tough one. I'm fair, but I'm firm. Been doing this for 20 years with my profession, and you know, my husband and I get up and go to work, he's gonna go to work. You know, they have a job lined up for him. I see he got his associate's degree, culinary arts. I work in DOC entry in my job, so I did a lot of networking. So people always spoke highly of my brother. So there's a lady named Chef Soulette, she has her own business in Baton Rouge, and she knows his qualifications, and she said, yeah, I'll hire him if he's ready for those. So he does have a good support system. So we have transportation, whatever it takes. I'm gonna make sure he abides by it. You know, he know I'm a tough cookie, so I just want to make sure he's doing the right things. And just stay positive. You know, keep God first. And I think I know for sure in my heart he's going to do good. Yes, we don't have no kids of his own, but my 3 boys look up to him. You know, we visit him frequently. And like I tell him, I'm used to patting down people and stuff like that in my job, but to go there and get patted out sometimes, it's like something has to change, you know. But I wish you well, TJ, and I love you, and just know I got your back. We'll be here for you.
All right, thank you. All right, and last we'll hear from Ms. Micah Sloan, your attorney from the Parole Project. Ms. Sloan.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. As I wrote in my brief to this board, Mr. Haney is a model for the rehabilitation that's possible through the DOC system. He's an excellent example of an offender who's not only a suitable candidate for parole, but he's someone who, if granted, can make a real positive difference in our community. To be honest, Mr. Haney made my job as his attorney very easy because of how much hard work he himself had put into proving that he is not the young man that he was when he entered prison, and that he's prepared to make up for his past harms however he can. Mr. Haney may be the first and only client to tell me that he was glad that he was denied at his last hearing. He's glad, he told me, because it gave him more time to change, an opportunity to take a closer look at who he was and what he needed to do to be successful. Since his last hearing, he's taken deliberate steps to address his shortcomings and ensure that he never returns to the behaviors of his past. He took to heart the advice that the board gave him. He got to work, and he comes before you today as the best version of himself yet. As you've heard and you will hear from him, he's very aware and insightful about the past harm that he's caused. what led him to reckless behaviors, his personal path of redemption, and his realistic plan to attempt to make it up to the community that he feels he let down. Mr. Haney was only 21 when he agreed with his older co-defendant to participate in a bank robbery. He confessed to the crime, and when he did, he told the detective he confessed to that as a part of their plan, they would make sure that nobody got physically hurt. He was not armed during the offense, and he was shocked when his co-defendant fired a single shot inside the bank. Before he left with the money, Mr. Haney even checked on the people inside the bank to make sure that nobody had been hurt. Although he had the sensibility as a 21-year-old to be concerned for the physical safety of others, today he has a profound understanding of how his actions caused emotional harm and trauma, not only to the people in the bank, but to their families, to his family, and his community. He uses that understanding to motivate his own self-improvement and service to others. Although in the eyes of the law, Mr. Haney was an adult at the time of his offense, science tells us that neuropsychologically, he was still a child. His brain was not fully developed, and he still possessed those impulsive, reckless decision-making characteristics of a child. This, of course, does not excuse his poor decision-making, but it is important to consider that these are characteristics that he has grown out of the way most people do. Before you today is a 48-year-old man who has not only grown up, but has a mature insight into how he has changed, the path that led him here, and the tools he must use in order to continue to be successful. At age 15, Mr. Haney ran away from home to escape constant physical abuse from his stepfather. He was afraid to return home, and without a positive adult role model in his life, he sought out acceptance from his peers. And it was his peers who introduced him to drugs and alcohol. He felt abandoned and hopeless and depressed, and young Mr. Haney turned to intoxication because it provided him with a temporary escape from those feelings. He was self-medicating. As it often happens, Mr. Haney's substance use and lack of guidance led him down a road of criminal behavior. Sadly, this is not a story that is unsimilar to many folks who find themselves in Mr. Haney's position, as this board is aware. However, Mr. Haney set out to be a mentor so that he could use his experience to help young people facing what he faced and encourage them down a positive path, a drug-free path, a crime-free path. He strives to be the role model, the positive adult figure, the inspiration that he wishes that he had when he was young. As a very active member of the Juvenile Awareness Program and through his training in the Moral Compass course, he's well prepared to be just that. He has already made an impact on justice-impacted youth, but he hopes to have an opportunity to engage with youth who are on a negative path before harm is caused and before they come in contact with the justice system if he's given a chance of parole. His true passion and goal is to work with youth to improve public safety in our community. Today, he is sober. He attends AA/NA twice a week. He's determined to remain sober because he knows that that is necessary in order to achieve his goals. Before I had even met Mr. Haney, he had already reached out to a church in the Zachary community to find where he could continue to go to AA and NA. As you can see from his packet, and as you've heard during his incarceration, he's earned several degrees from Baton Rouge Community College, Louisiana Technical College, the Capital Area Technical College, and he's earned credits toward an associate's degree. He's taken every DOC-led course that he's eligible for, including parenting courses, even though he's not a parent, just so he could be the best uncle to his nieces and nephews. He's very lucky to have a loving family, as you've seen, particularly his sister Tamika, who is his residency plan. As you've heard, she's a veteran deputy of the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, and she's a reentry specialist. Therefore, there's no doubt that if released, Mr. Haney will be closely monitored and very well supported. He's secured 2 potential employers, identified multiple organizations where he'd like to volunteer. He has an aunt who is a pastor and a loving girlfriend in his community who will also help to keep him on track. If for any reason this board is not comfortable with having Mr. Haney return to the East Baton Rouge Parish, his brother has also opened his home to him. He lives in Arkansas, and his mother also opens her home to him as well. She lives in Tennessee. As you heard from Mr. Myers, Mr. Haney will also have the support of the Louisiana Parole Project, which includes our social work team who will work with Mr. Haney to develop and help him maintain a sobriety plan. Mr. Haney has done just about everything he can do to show this board and this community that he is remorseful and rehabilitated. He is an educated, honest, and responsible adult who is bound to make our community a safer place if he's given the opportunity to be released. To continue to incarcerate Mr. Haney would serve no meaningful purpose. Based on his genuine remorse, his exhibited rehabilitation, and his excellent reentry plan, I ask that this board please grant Mr. Haney the opportunity to serve the remainder of his sentence on parole. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, I was assigned your case, Mr. Haney, but I've asked most of the questions I wanted to ask, got a little bit ahead of myself. So I'm gonna turn it over to my colleagues if they have any questions.
I just have a couple, Mr. Haney. One thing I made a note in when as I was reviewing your case, to be sure to ask you this question: what took you so long for programs? But you've answered that, and I'm so glad to hear that you took what Judge Marabella said to you 3 years ago to heart, and you took action on his suggestions. So tell me then, what is your sobriety plan should you be released? What is the plan that you have in your head?
The first thing, parole project, I already reached out to Zachary United Methodist Church that's in the neighborhood where my sister stay at, and they have NAA's sober group. First thing I'm doing is go there, find me a sponsor, you know. And one thing I learned is surround yourself with a positive support system. You know, I'm in JP and I speak about having a positive support, you know, people around you. And that's my plan. I understand that I'm open about my addiction struggles. And for a long time I wasn't. And that led me into, you know, harmful actions. But the people I surrounded myself with, they're all positive, they all know my struggles. So it'll help me stay on track.
Okay. You know, we see a lot of people who have that plan to involve themselves with AA, and then for some reason they think they got it after a little while, and then they quit going, and then we see them again. Just keep that in mind.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all I got. Okay.
Sir, as I was looking over your adult record, I noticed that you had a very violent history before the bank robbery, like you were saying, and I heard you say that you had the gun, but you didn't expect anybody to be shot. And I was looking back and I see this is all just months before the bank robbery, okay? In 96, you had an aggravated assault, and then you had an attempted, which probably was the same thing, attempted first-degree murder, illegal possession of stolen things, resisting arrest, illegal carrying of a weapon. That was all in 96. And then you had an attempted aggravated battery. You were sentenced to 18 months, and in 4 of 96, unauthorized entry of an inhabited dwelling, hit and run, burglary, battery on a police officer, possession of marijuana. You got a plea bargain. It was 18 months. That's 96. So you were in jail for a period of time. I don't know how long it was. How long were you in jail for all of that?
9 months.
9 months.
I received an 18-month sentence.
Right. You received an 18-month sentence. You served 9 months. You get out. And I guess within a year is the armed robbery, attempted it's the bank robbery. So it's a violent history going back to 96. And then you had some jail time in between, and then you go back to the bank robbery. So it wasn't like a one-time thing or anything like that. And I have a comment from the ADA, and his comments are, you got a plea bargain, which was substantial, really, from what they really charged you with everything. And the offender was sentenced, this is the ADA Caraway at the 19th Judicial District. And he says the offender was sentenced pursuant to a negotiated plea agreement and should serve at least half of his sentence before being considered for release. So I did want to mention those because he did give the verbiage of how he actually felt about this. And I don't have any more questions.
Okay, panel ready to vote. Okay, Mr. Haney, Ms. Stapleton's right. I mean, your previous history was real bad. And you know, and I looked and your drug problem, I think was the reason that your previous history was so bad. You know, you was hopping around from place to place, you wasn't living at a stable residence, and you were listening to older people. But your interview today was excellent. Real good interview, great family support. Thank y'all for coming. And my vote today, I think your sister's gonna keep you straight. I really do. So, but I also want to err on the side of caution. So my vote today is gonna be conditionally paroled upon completion of a long-term DLC substance abuse program. We will make that recommendation. We will get you into that program. If you pass that program, on my vote, you'll be released at that time. But I'm just one vote, so I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Ms. Renatza.
Mr. Haney, I thought you did a good job today on your interview. You were very well prepared. I agree with everything that's been said about your history, but I think that you're finally on the right track. My vote today would be likewise to grant your parole after you complete a long-term substance abuse program, and then you go to the parole project for that plan. And then a special condition after release. You know, you have to follow whatever recommendations the parole project recommends for your aftercare. And then this ought to be easy for you because you do the JAP. I want you to do community service speaking to at-risk youth, at least 6 hours a quarter.
Love to, love to.
Ms. Stapleton?
Sir, I agree. I know you got strong family support and they've got wonderful ideas that I think is going to help you out a lot to be successful. But I also agree with law enforcement and I agree with the DA. I mean, your original sentence was substantial and you had a substantial violent criminal history, even leading up to the bank robbery. It wasn't just a one-time lapse of judgment. And so today my vote is going to be denied.
Okay, Okay, Mr. Haney, you got 2 votes to grant, 1 vote not to grant. Unfortunately, you have to have a unanimous vote. So today your parole has been denied. Please don't put your head down. And we're gonna try to get you to that Steve Hall. So when you finish, you can reapply.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the board will be reconvening at Raymond LaBoard Correctional, not as I said before. This time we will be hearing Ryan Hurd. Mr. Hurd, would you state your name and DOC number for me, please?
Ryan Hurd, 765-101.
Okay, Mr. Hurd, you're here today for a parole hearing. Your parole date was 8/20/24. Your adjusted good time date is 12/22/26, and your full term date is 2/20/27. You are serving a 3-year, 4-month sentence for possession of marijuana, which was revoked for technical violations, and then another possession of marijuana, which was habitual. Does that sound correct to you, sir?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay. Warden, what do you have to say about Mr. Hurd?
Okay, he's been with us at Raymond LaBoard since 2024. He has no write-ups, which I commended him for that. While he doesn't have a GED, he has been in numerous NCCER and OSHA certifications. He works for us in the garment factory, and he has some positive remarks from his supervisor, and he is currently a Strive member.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate that. Today, your case has been assigned to Ms. Stapleton, but first we have speaking on your behalf will be Drink. I hope I got that right. And Drink Ford, your cousin, and in opposition, we'll have Mr. Myers. So, Ms. Ford, what do you want to tell us about Mr. Hurd?
Good morning. I would like to say that Ryan is very much so missed by his family. He's a very good person. His family misses him, his cousins and kids. He's very supportive when it comes to extracurricular activities and also academics. So I feel like his presence is very much so needed and missed here. And like I said, overall, he's a great person.
Mr. Myers from the Jefferson Parish DA's office.
Yes, sir. Good afternoon, Randall Myers, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish. We're opposed that his convictions were with technical intent to distribute marijuana, not possession. He was selling drugs. The first offense included a number of weapons that he had. He was selling drugs again shortly thereafter. And 5 pounds of marijuana for sale. Looking at his record while incarcerated, very few programs. All I see in the record was pre-release and nurturing parent. I think he clearly needs some long-term substance abuse programming, as well as other programs that will help him remain a productive citizen when he gets out. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Myers. Okay, as I said, your case was assigned to Ms. Stapleton. She will lead the interview. Ms. Stapleton.
Good morning, sir. I'm gonna go ahead. You heard Mr. Myers speak, and that's basically, your arrest report, so to speak. Can you explain to me, first of all, you've been selling a great deal of marijuana. Why do you do that? Uh-oh, can't hear you. You're on mute? Oh, now I can hear you, yes.
All right, sorry about that. Yeah. My marijuana thing is something I'm not proud of that I did in the past. And I'm remorseful and sorry for all the harm, the pain I've caused my community by doing that. It was something that I had to do, but at that time I was in a bad place. It's just something I'm very not proud of. Even though I know, yes, I had a good bit of marijuana at that time. It was a big mistake I made in my life.
Well, when they did the search warrant on the house, the agents located a lot of weapons and a lot of money. Will you explain that, please?
Yes, ma'am. The weapons I had, I collected weapons. I used to go to the gun range and fire, shoot my weapons. Every weapon I had was in my name. It was none of it was illegal. It was just something that I like collected was weapons.
Well, were you already a convicted felon at that time? It was okay?
That was my first charge, man. When they went in the house and they found a weapon, that was my first marijuana charge.
Okay, so you had the weapons and you had the marijuana.
Yes.
And the vacuum sealer and the baggies, because you were going to be selling all of that, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
okay, that's why it wasn't a convicted felon with firearms. Thank you for explaining that to me.
no
And the
problem.
next time you had the same thing as far as the marijuana, the digital scale and packaging materials, because you sell it twice.
Yes, ma'am, that's correct.
21 was a mistake and 23 was a mistake, correct?
It was a mistake. I was still around the wrong people doing. I took for granted. I took my freedom for granted, time for granted, and I ended up here.
Mm-hmm. It says here that on the eligibility worksheet that you need pre-release programming and substance abuse treatment. That's what Mr. Myers was talking about. There's an excellent long-term DOC substance abuse treatment.
Yes, ma'am. I'm currently in pre-release. My last day of pre-release will be tomorrow.
Okay.
I attend AANA on a regular basis here at Raymond Lamar.
Mm-hmm.
And I signed up for Living in Balance. It was one of the classes that said I wasn't eligible for it. That's what made me go ahead and participate in AANA.
Oh, okay. And that's all y'all have for substance abuse is Living in Balance at Ward? That's
Yes,
it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I don't have any further questions.
I have a couple. Were you a user as well as a seller?
No, sir. Unfortunately, I wasn't a user. I was always selling marijuana. I had jobs at the same time I was selling marijuana. I tried marijuana before, to be honest, and it just wasn't for me. So, no, sir. The question, I was not a user.
Okay, any alcohol usage or?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, and where are you gonna live if you get out?
Trying to get a fresh start, sir. I'm gonna reside in Denham Springs, Louisiana with my mom and dad. Get away from old friends and the environment I was in, trying to start over fresh.
Okay, any particular reason why your mom or dad wasn't on the call this morning?
Both of them at work.
Both of them at work. That's a good reason. Okay, I have no further questions.
I have just one. You mentioned when you were talking to Ms. Stapleton that the marijuana thing, you and the marijuana thing was something you had to do. Tell us why.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
You said to Ms. Stapleton that you and the marijuana thing was something you had to do.
Okay, yes, ma'am. At that time, when I got into selling marijuana, I was trying to breed bulldogs and French bulldogs, and at this time, the job I was working in a chemical plant, and they had a layoff, in which they had to go to Kentucky. So by me getting into too much I couldn't handle the dogs, paying my bills and all that, it led me to going down that path that I'm not proud of and will never do again.
Not sure I understand, but thank you for that answer.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I have no further questions. Is the panel ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, Ms. Stapleton?
Okay, my vote today is to deny because I think you got a break with the 3 years. Because you were revoked earlier and then you went right back to, and this time it was with distribution, it was a large amount. So my vote is to deny, but I really would love to see him get into that long-term DOC substance abuse program. And I think it's at Steve Hoyle, so that when you do get out, which is not much longer, you will be able to be on the straight and narrow, because that is a wonderful program. So that's my vote for you today.
Not,
Um, I agree with Ms. Stapleton. I think that a substance abuse program would be helpful for you. And we have heard from the opposition today from the DA's office and those reasons. And so my vote today is to deny based on those details.
and, Mr. Hurd, I concur. Once you get your classes finished, you're gonna be getting out at the end of this year anyway. If you take the classes you're supposed to take, you got another year, 300 days you can earn. So you would be getting out probably in about December. So my vote today is to deny also. Good luck to you, sir.
That's right. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're reconvening at Raymond LaBoyd Correctional. We're now here to hear the parole hearing on Neal Babineaux. Mr. Babineaux, state your name and DOC number for the record.
Neal Babineaux, 222961.
Okay, Mr. Babineaux. Today we're here for your parole hearing. I'm gonna put some information into the record. You are a second class offender. You had a parole date of 8/1/21. You have a good time date of 7/9/30, a full term date of 4/29/38. You were sentenced to a total of 41 years and 7 months for the offenses of distribution of marijuana, which was revoked on a couple of occasions, and manslaughter. Does that sound correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Today we have in attendance, we have Mr. Kerry Myers from the Louisiana Parole Project. He will be speaking on your behalf. Joshua Ewing, your son-in-law. He'll also be speaking. Nicola, Ewing, your stepdaughter. She will be speaking. And Myrtle Babineaux will be joining us, but she will not be speaking. And in opposition, it has it listed as Tessa Daigle, but I'm not quite sure about that one. We will see when Miss Daigle is called upon. So I'll call upon y'all at the proper time. Okay, Mr. Babineaux, tell us, what did you do to put yourself in this place? Why are you in prison? And why do you think you're ready to get out today?
There has not been a day that has gone by that I'm not remorseful for my uncle and the hurt and pain it caused our family members, as well as my in-laws. On January 15, 1999, my cousin killed uncle and I aided and abetted after the commission of the crime.
Okay, tell us exactly what happened. Your cousin killed your uncle?
Yes, sir.
And what was your part? What did you do? How did you aid and abet?
I aided and abetted after the commission of the crime. I didn't tell. And at a very young age, I began watching my dad drink, thinking it was normal. I started drinking myself, and I became an alcoholic myself. Alcohol affected my life to the ability that I couldn't make conscious decisions in my life. I made a lot of bad decisions.
Okay.
During my incarceration, I have been working on these conscious decisions. I have completed Living in Balance, Substance Abuse Phase 1 and 2, Pre-Release, Anger Management, Inside Out Dad, Nurturing and Parenting, Book of Romans, Acts of Apostles. I'm currently in Victims Impact and AA, and will be in AA for the rest of my life, helping other alcoholics in their struggle.
Okay.
These are not just programs I have completed in my life.
All right. Thank you for that statement. Okay, first we'll go to Mr. Kerry Myers.
Good morning, board. Kerry Myers with Louisiana Parole Project. To let this board know that we have accepted Mr. Babineaux as a client in our program. We did this based on several reasons. Number one, his disciplinary record, which is exemplary. The family support that he has post parole project, the programs that he's taken, He served more than 2/3 of his sentence, actually 70% of his sentence. And based on his conduct record, his age at 61 years old, statistically, he's extremely unlikely to reoffend. He's got a sobriety plan. He'll get evaluated through our social work staff. And we will ensure that he follows any recommendations. We'll make sure he is connected when he goes to his wife's long-term residence in Sulphur, that he has connections there to continue AA, NA, and any other support that he needs there while he's with our program. He'll get that evaluation. He'll also get mentoring and classes in stress management. He'll social norms, the things that someone in particular who's been in prison for as long as Mr. Babineaux has needs to start to readjust. It's essentially we'll allow him to decompress from that, and while he is getting much needed instruction and support doing that. Based on these things, and you can obviously see his remorse, we would ask this board to grant his parole today to Parole Project.
Okay. All right. Next, we'll hear from Joshua Ewing.
Yes, sir. At the time that I met Mr. Neal Babineaux, he was actually in the same prison as my dad was. And so I've got to spend a little bit of time with him. From what I can see in his character, I don't know what he was like before, but I can definitely say that his character is so that he is repentant of what he's done, that he is moving in the right direction. I don't see him as a dangerous man. I do know that my mother-in-law is in a place where her health is fading, and some of the years of her life are getting lower and lower. And so I feel like he needs to be back home with his family. But I don't see him in any sense of as far as being a dangerous person, or, I don't know what he was like before, but I can see that he's definitely made a change.
Thank you. And then we will hear from Nicola Ewing. You're on mute, Miss Nicola.
How about now?
Okay, you're good. Tell us what you want us to know about Mr. Babineaux.
Well, I've known him, I knew him prior to the offense. And of course he's been married to my mom for a couple of decades. And I have spent time with him while he's in prison as well as not in prison. I know that he has set goals for himself, and he's achieved those goals through
Okay, I think she disconnected accidentally. If she gets back on, we'll let her complete her statement. So we're going to move on. We're going to hear from Tessa Daigle. Ms. Daigle?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, what would you like us to know, Ms. Daigle?
Good morning. My name is Tessa Daigle, and Neal is my cousin. And I knew him since he was a kid. And I noticed y'all said I'm in opposition, but I'm actually here to say that I think he should come home. Neal and I have been cousins since we were young, and this did happen, and it was my uncle. But I feel like he's always had the biggest heart, and I know that all our family has forgiven him, and I think he's done enough time, and we're ready for him to come home.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Daigle. I noted, I saw where you had told Ms. Tigner that you was unopposed. So we thank you for coming on today. Your case has been assigned to Ms. Renaxa, so she will be leading the interview. Ms. Renaxa.
Yes. Good morning, Mr. Babineaux.
Good morning.
So, Mr. Babineaux, this is a rehearing. I see where you came before a parole panel back in, I guess, 2022. And it said, and you were denied, and it was because you had a terrible supervision history, which we know, we've already spoke about that. And that you needed substance abuse treatment. So since that hearing, what classes have you taken to address substance abuse issues?
I took living in balance phase 1 and phase 2, substance abuse. I took pre-release substance abuse within that program. And I go to AA and NA, and I'm taking a life recovery program.
And something that struck me a while ago when you were making your statement is you said you're gonna go to AA for the rest of your life?
Yes, ma'am, helping other alcoholics in our struggle, because I'll never, it's a continuous, it's always gonna be a battle. It never goes away.
I'm glad you recognize that.
But with the care of God, with the care of God, my wife, my stepkids, my grandkids, my AA group, Freedom Ministry, my sponsor, Sean Barron, and my church, Bible minister, I'm gonna be all right. I got it. And I want to help other people in their struggle too, because we make a lot of conscious decisions in our life, and we don't ever realize them because we're not walking in the world in a sober mind. We just act. And that unconscious decision has so much bearing on the people around you, your family. And you don't even see it, you're even hurting yourself sometimes, and you don't even realize it.
So how old are you, Mr. Babineau? 61?
I'm 60, I'm gonna be 62 in June, ma'am.
62. And how long have you been in jail?
28 years.
28 years. So let me just ask this question. You said aiding and abetting, I believe is what you said earlier. And I noticed in your in the paperwork I have, you say or you claim I'm guilty of accessory after the fact, but I didn't kill anybody. So tell us what you did. Why do you believe it's accessory after the fact? It's not real clear to me what you did.
Well, after my cousin killed our uncle, I did not say, when I was picked up a question, I didn't say when they asked me what had happened, and I said I didn't say the truth, and I lied to the people saying my uncle was all right.
I understand. Okay. All right. I noticed, I wanted to comment that I see you had a loss of 120 days at good time. That was all given back to you, but was that a previous period of incarceration? Was that before
Yes,
this?
ma'am, that was in Toulouse. That was long, yeah, a long time ago.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I don't have any other.
Ms.
I'm gonna just continue a little bit from Ms. Renata. You still hadn't said what you did. You just say after the fact that you didn't tell the truth. I mean, the man was stabbed a bunch. Were you there in the room when that was happening? You were aware of what's happening? I mean.
I used the phone. I went to use the phone. My cousin started stabbing up our uncle. I turned around to see what was going on. When I looked for it, usually the pistol is right there by the phone. The pistol was, I must have knocked it down because it was found on the floor by the phone, by the nightstand.
Okay.
When I turned around, he asked me if I knew where the wallet was at. I said, I don't know where the wallet's at, man. I said, please just let me get out of here. And then when I passed, I left. And I went sit in the truck, and when he came back out, I went to my aunt's house. And I drank a fifth of tequila and some Bacardi rum. And I passed out. When the cops woke me up, they brought me to the police station. Knowing I was on parole and I was trying to. I told them that nothing had happened. I had left and everything was all right. I didn't.
I was just wondering that while that brutal crime was taking place, what were you doing during that? But you've answered it. You said you were answering the phone.
I still can't. I still don't understand that. Ma'am, oh God, I fight with this every day. You know, I don't.
You don't understand why you didn't stop it or call for help or
Well,
those things.
I tried, and he with the gun, I couldn't find the gun at that time. It was on the floor. They took a picture. I saw the picture of the gun, but I guess when I hit the nightstand, I knocked the pistol off, because whenever I turned around to see what was going on, it's the only thing I can see, man.
Okay, thank you for your answers. I know this is painful for you. I know it's painful for any of the victims if they're listening or still involved in any of this. Thank you very much.
Okay, I just have one question. How long have you actually served in prison?
Going on 28 years, gonna be 28 years, January the 14th.
Okay. That's what I did. I couldn't really figure out with all the ins and outs. Okay, I have no further questions. Is the panel ready to vote? Okay, Ms. Renatza?
All right, Mr. Babineau, I can tell, you're sincerely remorseful for whatever happened that day. I can tell you're genuinely remorseful. Ms. Tisa has spoke to us today. Your family's ready for you to come back home. My vote today is to grant parole to the parole project transition plan. And I would add a special condition after you finish the parole project and go home. You do at least 2 AA meetings every week, and that's for the rest of your life.
Man, I wanted.
Okay, Ms. Stapleton?
I concur with Ms. Renatza. I mean, a lot of times I'll hear the exact same answers. If I could do it all over again, I would, and that kind of stuff. But you didn't do that. And so I can see the remorse. I do. And you served, what is it, like 3/4 of your sentence or something like that? Your great niece, she spoke. And I know she was involved in it that day of the crime, and your family wants you home. So for all the same reasons that Ms. Renatza said, and for the same conditions that she put on it, I agree to parole that.
And I concur with the same conditions as Ms. Renatza. Good luck to you, sir. That's it.
God bless you.
All right. Okay, we're reconvening at Avoyles Correction. Just did right this time. Raymond LaBoy Correctional. I'm old school. It's killing me today. And now we'll be hearing Mr. Dolph Finley. Mr. Finley, state your name and DLC number for the record, please.
My name is Dolph Finley. My number is 075033.
So it's a low number. Okay, Mr. Ziegler, I'm gonna put some preliminary information into the record. You are a second class, well, your rap sheet says you're a second class, your pre-parole says you're a fourth. But the rap sheet says you're a second class offender with a parole date. Looks like it was in 10/15/2014. And you have a full term date of 1/28/2039. You have no good time. You are serving a 29-year, 6-month sentence for a first-degree robbery. Does that sound correct?
Well, sir, that's not correct.
Okay, correct me.
I'm serving a 50-year sentence.
You're old 29 when you went back. Okay. All right. So the rest of it's correct?
Yes, sir, it's correct.
Okay, Mr. Finley. You have no speakers today, nobody here on your behalf or opposed. So tell us, what did you do to get yourself in there? And why do you think you should be let out today?
Robbed the lady. It was wrong what I did. I accept responsibility for that. I simply go out to the lady and her family as well as mine.
And so what did you do? You robbed the bank?
Yes, I did.
Good. All right. What did you rob the bank for? I've been assigned the case, so I'm asking the questions. So I'm going to start now. So why'd you rob the bank?
My addiction.
Okay. What have you done about your addiction?
Well, I've been to NEAL. I learned a lot. Since 40 years, I learned a lot.
That's what I was about to ask you. How long have you actually served in prison?
About 35 years.
About 35 years. Okay. All right. And so you haven't really taken any classes, just AA and NA?
Pre-release.
Pre-release. Okay. That's all you need. Okay, and you do need something. Says in it. But you were on drugs at the time all of this happened, correct?
Yes, sir.
What kind of drugs were you using, Mr. Finley?
Everything I can get my hand on.
Okay. Where do you live if you get out, Mr. Finley? We don't have any resident address for you.
Yeah, I send the plan up to my sister. She's supposed to send all that to the board. I have the same address I used before.
Okay. Okay, well, we hadn't heard anything from your sister and we hadn't received anything from her. So well, that kind of makes it bad, but anyway, we'll move on from that. Did you have a gun when you robbed that bank?
No, sir. No, sir, just a word of mouth.
And you had a rolled up newspaper, huh?
That's why I called first-degree robbery, because it wasn't a gun involved, it's just a word of mouth.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about that escape you had at Oakdale, the escape abscond. What happened there?
Never had an escape.
Okay, did you leave the state without permission before?
I was working offshore. And my job sent me everywhere. And the parole board knew this. They knew this already. As long as I was working, I had permission to go anywhere my job sent me.
Okay. So you ended up in Texas. Did you receive a drug charge in Texas?
Yes, I did.
Okay, did you serve federal time there or not?
Yes, I did.
How much federal time did you serve?
3 years.
Okay. And, you have a real poor supervision history. What makes me feel that you go listen to the probation officers this time? What has changed in your life that you think that you can abide by the rules?
I've grown and I learned a lot since then. I think my record reflects that also.
I see you have no write-up since 2004. Warden, do you have anything to add on him, on Mr. Finley?
Like you said, he's been with us since 2016 and he hasn't had any write-ups since 2004. He only has 5 write-ups in his entire record, so I commend him for his good conduct record. He got his GED while he was incarcerated, and he just mentioned that he graduates pre-release today. He's enrolled in NA, but other than that, he doesn't have any other programming. And we kind of talked about that when I met with him yesterday on how that's very important, that he really needs some programming. He is a Stride member and he works for us on the regular work squad. He has some good comments from his supervisor. Other than that, other than the programming, that's the only thing that I would recommend that he do.
Okay. You do have some law enforcement opposition. You have a chief that is very opposed to you getting out. I have no further questions. Does any of my colleagues have any questions?
I do.
Okay, Ms. Renatson?
Mr. Finley, tell us, why haven't you done programming? I know you're in pre-release and I'm glad you're finishing that today, but why haven't you sought out any other type of programs?
Well, I took the classes that was available to me at the time. What this institution provided.
All right, and before you got there, what about that?
Excuse me?
Before you got there, before you got to Raymond LaBorde, you didn't do any programs anywhere else?
Same thing. You couldn't take certain classes.
Because of your sentence?
You have to have a certain amount of time to enroll in those classes.
I see. I understand. And tell us, you mentioned, I think, a sister. Where's your family today?
Ma'am,
Where's your family today?
they're not here today. They stay in New Rose and they have family in New York. In South Carolina, they're not here today.
And did they know you were coming to the board today?
Yes, ma'am.
They didn't want to do Zoom with you, huh?
Yes. Well, I don't think they knew about that. I didn't get a chance to tell them about that because I've been trying to call and haven't been able to get in touch with them.
I see. And so your sister, you said your sister was going to send in a packet for us?
Yeah, same thing.
Where does she live?
In Lexworth.
Lettsworth?
Yes, ma'am.
And so that's where you were thinking of going?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't have any other questions.
I'd like to move for the executive session.
I'll second.
Okay, would you call the roll, please?
Ms. Renata?
Yes.
Freeman?
Yes.
Finley?
Yes.
Okay, we're gonna go into executive session to discuss some confidential matters. It'll be very briefly, Mr. Finley. We'll be right back with your decision.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a motion to come out of an executive session? Ms. Calvin?
I second.
Okay, we've had a motion and a second to come out of executive session. Okay, Mr. Finley, this is what we're gonna do. We're concerned about the residence plan. And also, it already says you need some substance abuse training, which is required by law now before we can let you out.
Yes, sir.
So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna recommend that you go to Steve Hall for your substance abuse. And I would take a victim class while I was there and an anger management class.
Yes,
That
sir.
can all be offered to you at that place.
Yes, sir.
You pass that and you get out of that, and upon an approved residence plan, you will be cut loose. That'll give you 6 to 9 months to try to find yourself an approved residence plan while you're in that program.
Yes, sir.
But we gotta have a place for you to go before we can let you out, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, if not, work with, them and try to find another place to live if you can't live there. But, that's my vote today. So my vote is to grant, contingent on you completing a DOC substance abuse program and an approved residence plan. Mr. Nasser?
Mr. Finley, I agree. The warden has recommended you need some more programs. I agree with her as well. So my vote is the same as Mr. Freeman's. Good luck to you.
Yes, ma'am.
And I concur with Mr. Freeman and Mrs. Renata.
Okay, good luck to you,
Good luck.
Mr. Finley. You've been granted. It's all up to you now. And thank you, Warden, for having us today. We'll close out at 10:48.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.